Hey everyone, it's Cassimus Lego, and this time I'll be showing you 3 brand new minifigures from March's release of The Batman, which I know needs absolutely no introduction. After years of waiting, audiences finally got a chance to see Robert Pattinson's Batman in action a few months ago, and it was so satisfying. The Batman was such a fun film to watch, and as a result, I wanted to make these minifigures to the best of my ability, even if that meant waiting until I could get my hands on the phenomenal 3D printed accessories from Nate's Minifigs. But it was so worth it. These figures are so cool, and I can't wait to showcase them, so without any further ado, let's get started. First up is Robert Pattinson's Batman, and I have been waiting so long to make this minifigure, but I admit when I first heard that Robert Pattinson is going to be portraying Batman, I was a little hesitant. I hadn't seen him in a lot of things. Most recently I'd seen him in Twilight, Harry Potter, and a few other films, but I wasn't sure how he was going to go about playing Batman. And I don't know about you, but I loved his performance as Bruce Wayne. It was one of the best Batman I'd ever seen, so making this minifigure was a lot of fun for those very reasons, but it was also very challenging because a lot of it was a lot of sculpting work, and as much as I love and praise Nate Minifigs, I didn't want to use his full armor cast. There was a few inconsistencies on it that I noticed, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to use for my figure. However, I did use his official cowl and cowl piece for the bottom of the head, which are two fantastic pieces that look really, really sweet. That being said, I started work sculpting the entire armor myself, and I started with doing the chest armor, and then all those pieces are actually dry sculpted that I cut out, which is how I made them look so neat. And the belt, those are all sculpted pieces, really nice, especially those pockets. The shoulders are also sculpted as well as the pieces on top, and all of the arm gauntlet pieces are completely sculpted as well. There is so much going on with this minifigure. I remember talking a lot about sculpting on Boba Fett, but you know, it makes Batman look completely different because there is so much more to this minifigure. It may not be completely accurate, but I managed to squeeze as much detail onto the arms as I possibly could. It's pretty simplistic, but I got some of the biggest pieces that I think stand out, including those gold pieces, and then also the gauntlets with these things that run, the straps that run across the arms, and then all the little blades here. There's even sculpting underneath on each gauntlet here. You can kind of make them out, but they just kind of hang down. Those are also completely accurate, and they look really nice. My favorite sculpting actually has to be the belt pieces because they came out so great. Those pouches are all individually sculpted, and this is a Lego canister of some kind, but the belt buckle here, that looks really nice. I think the entire thing is actually sculpted a bit of an extension on the waist. You can see it kind of juts out a little bit. I wanted to add a little bit more because I had to go around some of the sculpting on the chest. That was something that I had to make sure that I avoided, but it came out really great regardless. All of the painting on the legs was also really difficult. I ended up using lots of metallic black instead of normal black, I guess normal matte black, to make those details pop out much more. These straps on the sides of the legs, those are electrical tape, and then the holster down here is also a piece of electrical tape that is painted with its own details, which is pretty minimalistic, but I really like it. I also like these lines that go down the legs. Those are really nice out of metallic black. They really pop, and these knee pads actually were something that I added pretty recently because I noticed that I left them off, but they are outlined in metallic black and they look really nice as well. The fabric cape is also a completely fabric piece as always. Nothing very special, but drapes over the minifigure. Not a full-size cape. I wanted to make it a little bit thinner, but there is painting that goes on the legs. You can see the rest of the painted detail on the boots down there, I believe, and that came really nice. The cowl is also a really nice piece. I did do some detail to the head. The base head is actually a Legolas head, which are some of the most versatile heads, and I just painted some eyeliner around it. Kind of simplistic, didn't really need to do too much, but it looks really nice. And then the neck piece also just goes around the figure, and it looks so good. There's even an alternate expression, which I'll get to in a minute. But yes, this cowl looks really great. Props down, you know, to Nate for sculpting these, or I guess I should say cast them actually, because they are really fantastic. They chop off the minifigure entirely. But you know, removing this, I can go ahead and give the alternate hairpiece, or I guess the hairpiece itself, not really alternate, and it's another custom piece from Nate's Minifigs. It's Bruce Wayne's hair, which was something that I kind of ordered on at a last minute to just go ahead and grab the minifigure. So that's an accessory that I wanted to throw on as well. The alternate side is the Legolas head, of course, but it's the aggressive facial expression, which I did paint the eyeliner on and putting the cowl right over it. Boom, there we go. He is angry Batman, aggressive Batman, more or less Vengeance, as I'm gonna call him. So this is the official Vengeance figure from Mia, obviously, and just seeing it with the alternate expression, it looks so much better in my mind. This is a great minifigure. 2022 has brought some of the best minifigures to the channel, and Batman is no exception. Next up is Catwoman, and this is an old figure, actually. I made this back in February, just to give a time frame, because this was whenever I was expecting that I was going to finish the showcase before the film came out. So you're looking at one of the first figures that I finished in 2022, but nonetheless, she's still a really great figure. She's very simplistic. In fact, I made her when there wasn't a whole lot of reference. I was using DC figures and I believe the official Lego print as a base to go off of, but it was pretty simplistic. It was pretty straightforward, and I had a great time making it. But I took a lot of creative liberties, such as in the leg area. Those are, I went very simplistic. I simply just painted some things, and so I didn't do as much as I feel like I should have. And then there's also, the metallic pieces kind of they just add to the figure a little bit. They make her look a little bit more skin tight, a little bit more. They jump out a little more, especially on the back of the torso. I really like how those look, but. Yeah, this is a pretty simple figure. My favorite part, though, has to be the painted likeness to Zoe Kravitz. You might ask me, where did you get this head? It looks perfect, and the only thing I can tell you is that I fully painted that, man. I did that kind of myself, and the hairpiece sits on top, but that is, in my opinion, a perfect likeness to Zoe Kravitz. I am so happy with it, and the painted Nate Minifigs piece here, the cowl for Catwoman, I was afraid was going to obstruct the eyes or do something weird, but thankfully, months later, to painting the head, it fits on perfectly and just has enough space in between the eyes and the mouth to look phenomenal. It's such a great piece. These down here are actually electrical tape, and the zipper also has a bit of depth to it. It looks really nice, and the arms are very simplistic with just a gray line, and then that's a gunmetal strip to kind of just show some of the detail. I was trying to go for more of a simplistic style as always, and then the legs they do the painting goes up to the top of the hips, just like all of my other minifigures, but that's about it for Catwoman. Very simplistic figure, but still a really great one. Last but not least is the Riddler, portrayed excellently by Paul Dano. And man, what a villain! Seriously, I know that there's not a lot of great villains in cinema today, but I really enjoyed the performance of this one, and I was just so excited to make this outfit in Lego. And here he is, and he looks excellent with the custom printed Nate's Minifigs mask. That looks so great, but I'll get into that in a second. The rest of the figure is also really nice. I love the fabric over jacket that I did. I've mentioned how I do those pretty prominently with minifigures, and this just looks perfect. I think that this technique, this method is perfect for the Riddler. It's almost made for him, so of course I was going to use it, and the stitching that I painted onto the arms as well as the buckles over here, and I also gave him some glove tops to add more detail. Those are all really, really nice. They make the jacket look so great, so industrial, and I couldn't be happier with it. But the rest of the minifigure is also really nice. He actually has two accessories, and they are, of course, the duct tape and then the ice scraper in the other arm. These are pretty important to his character, so I know I had to make him. The ice scraper is made out of I believe a screwdriver handle, and I sculpted this piece on top, the ice scraper piece itself, so it's a nice piece, so I can remove that out of the hand easily, and you can see how that's done. But I am not removing this duct tape. This is such a fragile little piece, and also it took forever to get it clipped in the arm, and I don't want to scratch any of that paint off, so we're going to keep it in his hand, and it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, the rest of the jacket has these three-dimensional pieces that are made out of the electrical tape. The question mark design is also painted on really nicely, and then the details onto the legs look also really nice. It's pretty simplistic. There's nothing really going on past the hip, but then these the knee pads and also the shoe boot details. There's a bit of electrical tape. Excuse me, not electrical tape. There's a bit of metallic dotting down there to make for the straps, if you can make them out, I don't know, but they're there. And then there's also some buttons that are painted and outlined in metallic black onto the vest. The hoodie piece is also something I wanted to put onto the minifigure. I thought it was pretty important to add more definition to the figure, so that's there, and it's painted and really nice on the back, and it's pretty simplistic. He's got three-dimensional pockets also on these on the legs, which are just there in scene. And the mask. The mask is, of course, Nate's Minifig's awesome mask. My favorite detail is the fact that you can see the custom painted head through the mask with the glasses. It is so creepy looking. It evokes the opening scene of the film where he's standing in the shadows. It's so perfect. I love this mask. But I painted the outline, or the saran part, actually in a light gray, and then put some sealant over it so that it looked a bit shiny. So that's how I managed to capture that detail. But the rest of it is painted all the way across in a dark green color, the same that the jacket is painted under. So it's really nice. And there's also a little bit of dotting on the actual mask to make for ventilation holes. If you can see them, they're there as well. But yes, removing the head is the custom painted Paul Dano head. And as soon as I saw this actor, I loved his performance. I admit that I wasn't familiar with his work, and after seeing The Batman, I basically went on a long time of watching every single Paul Dano film, basically, because I loved his performance that much. He's such an amazing, underrated actor, and he gave an amazing performance in The Batman, so I wanted to paint this head, and it looks really, really great. Really happy with it. I also decided to give him, of course, this skater hairpiece. Not probably the most accurate shape of the hair, but it does really look like the Edward Nashton in the film, so I did decide to paint it up in a nutmeg brown color. But you can just see how the face looks so much like Paul Dano. Really happy with this. And of course, I did paint the glasses onto the head itself, but you don't really notice them when you put the mask on. And one more time, you can see just how creepy that looks with him glaring, and the fact that I made the eyes a little bit curved. If you can see through them, it looks so good. Really happy with this figure. But yeah, that's really it for the Batman figures. The Riddler honestly has to be my favorite, just because of how this looks. It's so great, and I'm really happy with it. So that's all I have for the Batman minifigures. Let's go ahead and wrap up the showcase. Alright, that's it for these 3 Batman figures. Thank you so much for watching this showcase. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by dropping a like and a comment if you feel so inclined. A lot of this wouldn't be possible without your continued support, so once again, another huge thanks to all of you guys. Of course, these figures also wouldn't be possible without the incredible 3D printed pieces from Nate's Minifigs. Please make sure you check out his stuff. There's a link in the description for it. Remember to follow my social media platforms for updates, announcements, and edits featuring my custom LEGO minifigures. Links are also in the description. That's it from me, but as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.